How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's time for another rookie review on Kel'el Ware of the Miami Heat. I was a big fan of Ware as a prospect, and he had a great rookie season by all accounts. Made an all-rookie team, was really productive, and he has some of the highest highs of any rookie, and I think also some of the lowest lows, and we'll get into that. But the good stuff that Ware does is just mind-numbingly obvious, where he is already one of the premier lob targets in the league, in my opinion. His catch radius, size, and explosiveness make him a nightmare to defend in these 50-50 midair spots. He's developing some really nice high-low chemistry with Bam Adebayo, who's a really nice passer, and look at him just go up, Moss, Draymond Green, come down and finish it. Like, he is such an incredible play finisher, and his scoring is definitely his main kind of ceiling trait, in my opinion, for how he can get better in the future. But oh my goodness, he's got like a pretty good cutting instinct as well. Like, notices Sarr is ball watching, he slips behind him. And again, the ball isn't ever having to be perfectly placed with Ware because he just gets up so insanely fast. But anyways, if you're enjoying the content and if you want to see more of these, like and subscribe, leave a comment, all of that good stuff. Really appreciate the support as always. Y'all love the Reed Shepherd video, which I really appreciated. Here's some more high-low work, and again, just throw the ball up to Ware. He's got great touch, so it doesn't have to be a dunk. He can just softly lay the ball in, just standing over elite defenders, making them look incredibly small. And here's another example of Ware's cutting, which is pretty impressive. I did not expect this. As someone who was pretty high on Ware, I did a video on him around the time of the draft. Brooks is ball watching. Ware notices it, slips behind. Because Ware plays in the perimeter a lot, and shooting is something that he hopefully theoretically brings. We'll get into it. But Ware, yeah, his play finishing is remarkable, and it's because of his touch as well as his athleticism and size. Like, he's able to hit crazy, just fading touch shots over contest with the guy flying over. He's so good, and his soft touch was evident in college. It was one of his main strengths as a prospect, just how adept of a scorer he was. Oh my God, this is absolutely ridiculous. Good coordination. You can just see how fluid and scary he is in a straight line if he really learns how to dribble. It's so Jover. But anyways, Kel'el gets the ball knocked out, catches it, throws it up, basically no look, and it goes in. I have no idea how he made that shot. Absolutely incredible, the kind of things that he can do as a touch guy. But Ware is really scalable because of his play finishing. He was great next to Hero, who took a passing leap last year. Obviously, Bam's playmaking we've highlighted. He was, he's not going to be there anymore. He was really good next to Duncan Robinson, who had the kind of movement shooting gravity. And this is the kind of stuff that not very many 7-foot athletic centers can do, right? Sidestep dribble into a little floater from outside the paint. And he was incredibly efficient on those shots as well. He made a ton of his short mid-range jumpers, going to snag the offensive rebound. Again, we just see him being bigger than everyone. These are just ridiculous shots. You don't see a lot of players play like him. And I think part of this, which we'll continue to touch on, is he's not a very physical player, which worries me to some extent. And, that applies on both ends. And we'll continue to talk about that. But it's understandable when he can do the kind of stuff that he can do with the touch shots. Like, he's dribbling into a hook shot from the perimeter. This is insane. This is like 1975 stuff. It's awesome, his ability to get shots like that. And if we just look at the efficiency, like, pretty efficient overall, but crazy efficient. 52.3% in the short mid-range. Like, that is absolutely nutty. And we're gonna keep seeing examples of Ware scoring now in the post. Like, he's mostly a play finisher, but he can get to his spots on the post a little bit. And like we've seen, there's some basic driving flashes as well. He's a crazy physical talent, and that plus the touch, there's quite a ceiling for that. Another one where Ware has a smaller defender on him, just flips it up over two guys in the paint, Kuminga and Buddy Hield. But again, notice how few of these shots are like actually going all the way to the basket and drawing fouls and drawing contact. And that does get Ware into trouble on a play like this, where, he catches the ball pretty deep into the paint, but he's not really good yet at taking a power dribble and going up, trying to draw a foul. He tries to do a crazy fadeaway hook shot, and he doesn't end up making that. And I think this is one of the big concerns with him overall, is the lack of physicality and willingness to initiate contact. Like, so many times you'll see Ware in a situation like this. He's on the short roll. There's a smaller defender, but instead of just going through him, using a dribble or a power dribble trying to draw a foul, he does like a dumb Euro step and looks at the corner and then bricks a floater. Like, it's just not good process. And I do think it's indicative of some of his issues and, lack of willingness to be assertive. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things for him in terms of reaching his ceiling, where, again, I understand he's a very good short mid-range shooter and it's a comfortable shot, but you have D'Angelo Russell on you. Like, this for any 7-footer of his level of athleticism should be a much more efficient shot, or definitely it could be, right? So Ware has the ability, as we've seen. He has the ball skills, he has the touch. I think it really is just going to be a mentality thing where settling for these shots will limit his efficiency, right? Like, he's a great hook shot, post shot, touch guy. It's just a tough way to live for anyone. And, he's not Jokic, even though I do think Kel'el is very good. Where, again, especially against, like, good defenders and good defensive teams, like, he's not going to be able to go through Al Horford. But you can see how springy he is, how high off the floor he gets, and just, like, the obvious potential with all of this stuff, even when it's not going particularly well. But, yeah, not particularly adept at taking on switches yet at this point because of his lack of handle. Ends up hitting, just hitting an amazing touch shot right there. But yeah, the physicality is an issue, but you can see how viciously he dunks on the lobs, and this is a good play right here, sealing Gideon early offense, and he's just gonna power his way in for a dunk. Like, this is what we need to see more of Kel'el. Like, if he's getting more plays like that, I think there's a really high ceiling for him as a scorer, which is good because his playmaking is not great, not much assist volume. Ware has a lot of, like, silly turnovers where he just wasn't really. It doesn't seem like he's reading or processing the floor necessarily quickly, or he's just, like, going through the motions in certain spots. But you can see moments where he's trying to make reads. I actually like this quite a bit, where cuts after this double team, and he's trying to wrap it back around to Bam. He recognizes that 2 defenders committed to him, and he can get it there, but he just can't get the ball there. And honestly, Bam, I think, wasn't really ready for that pass either. So that's a turnover, but I think it was a pretty good idea from Ware. I don't think it was a bad play necessarily, or one I would grade too negatively, unlike this one where Ware is just gonna kind of sitting, going through the motions, not really making a play. Again, he's just running the play, trying to front the ball, but he doesn't notice during kind of fronting. It's not a well-timed pass. It's just a lot of this little stuff where, again, they had him playing on the wing a lot, which is impressive for a guy of his size and age. And he had some real passing flashes as well. He's a great short roll player because of his scoring, but if he can add plays like this where he throws it down to Bam right there, cutting from the baseline. Normally we see Bam to Ware, but obviously the more you can reverse that. And these two are such a great fit, especially if he's shooting. I think this was an offensive foul because he, like, elbowed him. But again, I think that regardless of that, you can still see he catches the ball in an advantage situation, kind of looks off at the wing. He likes to do that before he drives and gets into Kenrich Williams' chest and maybe his nose there as well. Who knows? Who knows exactly what's going on right there? Another short roll here into a little pull-up floater mid-range. Like, he's going to be such a good outlet. That's just another way he adds value off the ball. He is going to miss Duncan Robinson. This was a good connection for him. But Hero has quite a bit of on-ball gravity. Like, Powell can definitely draw some attention as a shooter because there were some real flashes of what he could do in these short roll situations, like making fine enough decisions. He's never going to be, like, a huge plus as a playmaker, but I do think he can get to a point where he's at least competent enough. This pass was hilarious. I don't know why that was awesome. Just, like, tapped it out to Andrew Wiggins there. I love this. This is heady. This takes good thinking on the fly. Like, just passes it out. I feel like there maybe was a world where you could have dunked that ball as well, but that's still setting up a teammate for a wide open 3. It's a creative play, and Ware has some moments where he's, like, threading passes to cutters, so it's not all terrible. He doesn't really pass much. Like, there aren't so many passing clips to critique just because he isn't passing the ball that much. It's just not something he very much has a score first mentality, and you can see the flashes again of just like pretty good live ball reading where he immediately notices that Wiggins has the cut right there, quickly passes past Giddey. So there are flashes and reasons to believe that he could improve as a playmaker, even if at the moment it's generally pretty raw. Like you'll see, oh my goodness, he put some ridiculous passes on tape, like a no look. I think this is the second time he's got Sar on one of these plays, but that was a ridiculously high level play, moving the defense with his eyes, hitting a layup pass right there. Where is not a I don't know. I feel like I put this clip in the wrong place. That's a crazy shot with Draymond just all over him. Again, you can see Ware's touch. But I do want to, again, highlight the foul drawing. He was the lowest foul drawing 7, or I think this is 6'11", 82 inches, as, taller than 82 inches. He was at the very bottom in terms of free throw attempts, and that's not great for someone who is as gigantic as Ware and as athletic. And obviously you can see, the top of the list is going to be mostly stars and good offensive players. Not all of them, and there's plenty of good players down here. A lot of defense first players, which I don't think Ware is. We'll definitely get into that. But he is such a good intermediate touch scorer that I think there's reason to believe that he can still be really effective regardless, even if his ability to hit pull-ups, and that's also another point in favor of his shooting, where spacing is going to be important for him. I don't think it's as important as correcting the physicality and that part of his mentality. But the fact that there are flashes of him pulling up off the dribble and hitting shots like that we've seen, which translates out, he wasn't a crazy efficient 3-point shooter this year. But Ware did, take a decent amount of threes for a center. I think he was above average volume for a center. And, I think he was 31, 32%. But his willingness was great. He'd trail into threes from beyond the arc right there. If he can develop into a real shooter, that is going to be scary, right? Because, Bam is trying to expand his 3-ball. But I don't think he's a real shooting threat yet. Anyways, and Ware, I think, has a chance to be that. It's just such a good thing, obviously, in the modern NBA to have a floor spacing 5. And we'll even see Ware's light movement 3. He hops into that going to his right, or was it a 1-2? But yeah, there are some real impressive shooting flashes from Ware on tape where, like I've said before, some of the highest highs of any player in this rookie class, I think, last year. And the shooting is definitely part of that, right? But even with that being said, teams still didn't play him like a shooter, and they're going to have to, especially in a playoff setting, teams are just going to be able to help hard off of Ware, though he can make the shot, but it's a better decision for the defense to help on a scarier offensive threat like Hero or Wiggins or Norman Powell or whoever that ends up being. Again, we just see this super deep drop, no real urgency to help from the nail, and Ware doesn't end up making that shot, which of course he can sometimes make. I didn't touch on his offensive rebounding much, but I just wanted to, oh my God, get this poster in there. As we said, the strength's very obvious, and I think that extends to his defense, where Ware's shot blocking, exceptional, was always a strength for him. The ability to time up blocks as a help defender. This is he's coming from the wing. Again, playing with Bam, he defended as a wing perimeter guy. And I think Bam is the perfect player to pair with Ware, whose biggest issues, which we'll get to, right, are defending in the pick and roll, some of his motor stuff, his awareness, defending on the ball, and Adebayo covers all of that, while Bam's only true real weakness, I think, is sometimes at the highest level, he's not the greatest rim protector because of his size, but Ware has great instincts coming over to block shots in help side. He has a good feel for timing up blocks and when to jump on a lot of these plays and when not to jump. And something I like about Ware, which is just a trait that all these elite shot blockers have, is the rim deterrence, where you can see a driver goes right at Kel'el, doesn't even look at the rim. Doesn't even look at the rim, but he kicks it out. Another driver comes in, gets spiked, and you can see how crazy Ware's reach and how explosive he is and quick off the ground. Ware is a little stiff, which we'll get to, and that's not ideal by any means, but he can really put a lid on the rim. And look at his second and third jumps. He is just so springy and quick off the floor. It's a really rare trait for someone of his size. Like, usually guys like this are more load leapers, or they take longer to get off the ground, but Ware is not like that. He has some scary potential as a disadvantaged defender because of his size and his length, where, there's a 2v1 situation right here. Mobley beats Bam off the dribble, and Kel'el has to either, guard the drive or get back to the pass. He's like, I'm going to do both at once. Bait Mobley to pass it, deflect it with his long arms. But Ware barely got any steals this year, which I think ties into another issue, which we'll get into. But he certainly has the ability to do stuff like this. And this is just crazy. Like, he swim moves through the seal pretty much. Maybe a foul, who knows. But he gets around that, swats J-Dub off the glass. I feel like a lot of times people are complaining about goaltends with Ware, which maybe isn't a great sign. This one was insane. He timed this up with his left hand right here, blocking Josh Hart and keeping the ball in bounds critically to keep the possession going. Move the other way, and they end up getting a look on the other end. Again, we see the rim deterrence here. Mikal Bridges doesn't even want to come in the paint against Ware, and then he's going to meet OG at the summit right there and just swat his stuff out of bounds. Like, Ware is at his best when he can just be a block hunter effectively and just look for these plays, look to make chaos happen and to impact shots at the rim without having to, think too much or defend in space, we'll get to. But man, he is an incredible rim protector. It is hard to get shots up over him, and even players like OG Anunoby struggled to, OG can obviously get as deep position as he wants, and honestly good decent recognition here by Ware. He definitely gets beat, or it's a little slow there, but he gets back in front, and you can just see his incredible size and ends up getting the block again with his left hand. Ware is really dangerous when players are not passing to the guy he's helping off, but there are flashes of really good awareness and kind of more technical stuff where Şengün kind of pumps. He gets back to cover the passing lane, but he's still there to get up and block this shot after the rebound happens. Discipline and jumpiness are going to be an issue for him, as they are for pretty much all young defenders. But how many can absorb contact and jump like Kel'el Ware can? I don't think there are that many necessarily. But where Ware struggles is also kind of concerning to me. And it again relates to physicality, but also his motor and awareness, which have been issues for a long time for him. And I think are unfortunately still problems, even if it's not horrible. So many times where he's just standing at the rim and instead of trying to wall up and contest or go for a block, he just swipes at the ball, barely makes an attempt, and Kenny Hustle able to get right around him. There's too many plays where it's like DeAndre Ayton-esque stuff where he's just kind of treading water right here, not really contesting. It's Jovic, honestly, who comes over and makes a contest and tries to stop Shea, but where they're setting a very high ball screen right here. Ware is basically dropping from above the break, but once he notices that Shea has got a clear path to the rim as the center, as the rim protector, and he really struggled. The lineups with Ware and no Bam Adebayo really struggled on defense, which is like a crazy concerning thing. He's a rookie. It's hard to anchor a defense as a rookie, let alone or NBA player, but Ware just I don't think always has the best instinct for when to jump and what to do at times, where he's so imposing. A lot of Ware plays like this where he stabs at the ball instead of going up to contest, and a skilled finisher like Obi Toppin is very easily going to finish around that. Ware would be much better off using his size and walling up at the basket, and again just being more aggressive and physical, which is definitely an issue for him on the defensive end. I think it's probably a bigger issue on defense for me than it is on offense, because that really dictates so much of his overall impact, especially in the playoffs, where it's not always the physicality, just kind of the reactivity and the technique, where he just, again, instead of walling up at the rim when OG's driving at him, he stabs. Now he's leaning back right here and is not in good position. He has to recover, can't get any lift out of that situation, and has to foul, right? So there is a lot of just technical stuff that I think we can reasonably expect Ware to clean up as he gets older and as he improves. And even on plays where he fouls like this, we can once again see the rim deterrence coming in. Onyeka's not trying him. And this one, again, we can just see Ware going for the ball right here. He misses. He doesn't get a lot of steals, so I'm not really sure why he goes for the ball in these situations so many times anyways. And then there's just moments like these which are hard to parse from a bird's eye view, where Ware is just ball watching. His man face cuts Kristaps Porzingis right in front of him, and he, can't make a play. There were just simply too many of these plays on his tape, and he is a rookie. This happens, but it's never encouraging when you can find so many clips like this where just lets Onyeka walk by, or jog by him to the rim, isn't able to recover right there, or a play like this where Ware is kind of camping in the paint right here. This one I think you can kind of argue isn't fully. Oh my God, Brunson! What a pass! Nasty. Brunson is so damn good. I think you can kind of argue because it looks like Ware tried to say, "Hey, Davion, go get Hart. I got Mitchell." But at some point, when Davion is saying, "Hey, go back. I'm not moving," you've got to protect the basket and just like have a 360 awareness, which I don't think Ware has, and that's something that's hard to develop. Usually, if you don't have that just court mapping, processing feel in terms of defense, it's hard to get. And Ware, I think, did some incredible things as a perimeter defender, which we'll get to in a second. But his defensive impact metrics are really interesting, and I think they're shout out GeoGuessr, by the way. I think it reflects a lot of the tape where he's such a good shot blocker. He's 2.5 blocks per 100 is 27th in the league, and a ton of the guys over him didn't even play a ton. This isn't taking into account minutes. But when you look at his actual rim numbers, opponents were shooting, only 1.8% worse than the rim. That's 25th percentile for centers. So I think that kind of matches the eye test. Like, he'll get a lot of blocks, but he's overall not as impactful as a rim defender as you'd hope, which of course can improve, right? And it's tough for 7-footers to change directions and close out on the perimeter. So I don't necessarily penalize Ware for plays like this, more just the positioning sense, where it would have, once again, been better for Ware not to stab at this passing lane, but just to position himself and try to wall up against Anunoby, because we've seen earlier like what happens when he does that, because he can wall up against OG Anunoby and get blocks and get stops, and containing Mikal Bridges around the corner. He's not super smooth changing directions, but he can definitely do crazy stuff like this, where this is a good example of his kind of change of direction with the hop right here. Gets back, somehow gets up to block Mikal right there. So there are definitely perimeter defense flashes on Ware's tape. Another thing is just his general jumpiness, where a lot of times he'll jump for blocks that I don't think necessarily he should, where Mobley was just laying it down to Allen there. This is another pretty common, young rim protector thing. The other kind of concerning area for Ware is his pick and roll defense. And that's where I think his kind of high stiff hips and inability to open up and slide to cut off a player. And of course this is Jason Tatum. It's a very difficult ask for any rookie big. But you saw his kind of lack of coverage versatility throughout the year. Or again, he's mostly just dropping back and swiping at the ball, looking for a pass to intercept or a shot to block. And a lot of the time that just gave up wide open shots and advantages. In this Bucks game, they pretty much shredded him, bringing him up to the level of the pick and roll. And again, Lillard is hard to guard, but you can see how late he is with his hedge right here. You got to be moving out to cut Lillard off right when you see him start his drive, but Ware waits a beat, and it's just, with these NBA point guards, especially the stars, they're way too quick to even make small mistakes like that, where again, I commend Ware for defending out at the level, and there were real plays where he again was able to backpedal right here, flip his hips. That's a great flash. I think if we could see more plays like that, even though he ends up fouling Lillard, I think his mobility on a play like that was pretty solid. And then on a different play in this game, he was rewarded with the block. This time turning and chasing instead of backpedaling, which is fine for him, I think. That's what a lot of centers do in those situations. But his ability to just destroy shots as a drop defender is really good. He's going to be an incredibly good deep drop defender, I think, even if I'm not sure he has the mobility to ever become a truly switchy or coverage versatile guy. But that's okay. He can just be someone who deters shots and forces misses. And it's hard to know about improvements to to motor and awareness, right? Like those are things that can be hard to diagnose on tape. Like we can go back to one of the plays where, let's just find one of the plays. This one, for example, right? Or is it that Ware didn't realize that he was getting back cut and, just didn't know where he was supposed to be? Or is it that Ware did know where he was supposed to be? He just, didn't necessarily go there. He didn't have the motor to get back quickly enough. So I don't know which one it is. I can't tell you. They're both things that need to improve. But Ware's ceiling is quite high on both ends. And though there's a lot of negative film, I feel like in this video, I'm still quite high on Ware. I really believe in him quite a bit long term. He just has so many rare traits, the athleticism at his size, the touch, and he has such a high ceiling as a scorer. Even if he doesn't get the three to really be consistent, if he can apply his physicality and draw fouls, I think he could be a really good big man scorer and potentially someone with like sub all-star potential in that realm. And I think his defensive potential is quite high as well. Like he was solid this year, which is fine for a rookie, but there's a ton to work on, both small stuff and big stuff, before he can be like a playoff reliable defender. But anyways, let me know what you think about Ware. This video is already so long. Y'all are the best if you're still watching.